the present. So past. Past should be on this side for you. I feel like it kind of goes left to right. So as the past affects how we live in the present. So the past being the thing, we are shaped by the past, and specifically these really significant moments that kind of break the mold and reshape how we are shaped by historical events and our culture around us. So one of the biggest things of these mold-breaking moments is Jesus coming to earth, showing us what God is exactly like, and teaching us how we then should live. And then changing and making it so clear that we're saved through grace by faith. By simply believing we are saved. And so that's where we talked about last week, was this past and how that affects our present. And then I told you that today we're going to talk about how the future affects how we live in the present. And so before I go the direction that we're going to go, I just want to say that I feel like there's two really big ways that this conversation could go. I just want to address the way that we're not going, just so you're not thinking the whole time, why isn't he talking about that? I need to get to that. What's he going to talk about that? So we can just take that distraction away for you. So the one big way that I think this conversation can go, the way looking at the future and how that helps us live in the present, would be as it pertains to the end of things, that Jesus is coming back sometime. And Revelation paints this just radical picture of that, and that's not where we're going today. So that's a really wonderful conversation and a really great topic, but that's not the direction we're going today. So you can just rest on that. We're going a different direction. It'll be okay, I hope. But before we jump too far into that, I'm going to pray, and then we'll carry on in the conversation that we're going to have. Dear God, I thank you for today. I thank you that we can gather as the church like this. It's good to be together, and God, we love you. We're grateful for what you have done throughout history. We're grateful for the future that you hold, and we're grateful for what you're doing in our lives right now. Pray that you would help us to learn the things you want us to learn, that your message would be clear today, and that would be the thing that is remembered, your message, and none of the other antics along the way. Pray, God, that you would reveal your truth through all of this. I pray this in your name, Jesus. So, could you hear that? Could you hear that good? That's awesome. I'll try not to burp because you would hear that too. I want to tell a story that is, I guess it's from the past, but it was about me of the future at one point. So, don't camp on that too long. At one point I went to college in Winnipeg. I went to Red River College in the mechanical engineering program. Technologist. Mechanical engineering technology. And when I was in that program, it must have been, like when I think about this story, I don't know exactly when it happened, but it must have kind of been second year just based on the context of some of the things that were going on. So I had been going at schooling for a little while, and I was involved in the church. I tended to with helping with youth and part of like a young adults Bible study group and then a prayer group, just things that I was really learning and growing a lot. It was really fantastic. And I had the idea, I had the plan that when I was done my engineering diploma, I was going to go somewhere else, and I was going to work, year or two, whatever it took. I was probably optimistic, I probably thought it'd be a year. Go work for a little while, and make some money so I could pay off my student loans. And then after that, I was going to go and join an organization that would do a missions organization as an engineer. Now that sounds like a engineering missionaries, that's silly. No, it's actually a thing. There's certain organizations that combine with engineering, but not really the engineering I was doing. So again, this is my idea, it'll work. More like civil engineering. So you can imagine how infrastructure would really partner well with some of the missions organizations and things that they were doing. So I probably learned of this organization through Mission Fest or something there. I don't remember exactly, but that was my plan. Finish school, go work, make some money, pay off student loans, and then I'm going to go as an engineering missionary. And it seemed good to me, and I wanted to. I don't know where the desire had initially come from, but I wanted to do this. And so then I had this really unique experience. Well, it seemed to be unique at the time. It was sure fitting. I woke up in the middle of the night the one time, and usually slept really fine, whatever. But the one Bible study group I was part of, I remember our leader saying that, like, and he probably didn't sleep as well, but just saying, like, if you wake up at night, like, can't fall asleep, like, use that time. Take that time to pray, take that time to read your Bible, whatever, like, use that time. Maybe God's got something special for you at that moment. So with that in mind, I was like, okay, can't fall asleep, so I turned on my lamp, and grabbed my Bible, and opened up, I had a daily bread devotional, and I had found one that I had missed, and figured I'll just read that chunk of scripture there. So what I found what that was, and I turned to James chapter 4, and in the middle of the night, this is what I read. Come now, you who say, today or tomorrow, we will go into such and such a town and spend a year there and trade and make a profit. Yet you do not know what tomorrow will bring. What is your life? For you are a mist that appears for a little time and then vanishes. Instead, you ought to say, if the Lord wills, we will live and do this or that. As it is, you boast in your arrogance. All such boasting is evil. Well, my plans kind of changed after that night. And at night, everything's always amplified at night when you have like some sort of like revelation or moment at night. It's just everything's, and you wake up in the morning, you're like, was that as important or significant as it should be? And it's hard to gauge those things sometimes. But I told a few people about my plan, what I was going to do. And after this, I was like, I'm just going to let that plan die, and whatever happens will happen. So, as you can tell, I didn't go off and become an engineering missionary. I instead worked for a while, then God called us into ministry in a different way, which has been really fantastic. But I had that plan, and it wasn't a bad plan. It really wasn't. I think anyone that wants to choose to spend their life as a missionary or energy as a missionary is a great plan. But I had made that plan, and it was my idea, and it was something that I was going to do, and it was something that I was going to make happen. And so, on the face of it, plans aren't a bad thing, but I feel like plans have a sunny side and a shadow side to them. I think the sunny side of planning is saying, well, I want to go to school, so maybe I'll save up some money so I can go to school. That's a good way to plan. It affects how you live now. Or I want to buy a house, so I'm going to save up some money to have a down payment so I can buy a house. That's good planning. Or I'm going to drive from this area to that area, and I know that I should probably fill up gas here so I don't have to coast into the gas station over there. That's really good planning as well. Planning that affects what you do right now for a good future. That's the sunny side of planning. But there is kind of a shadow side of planning as well. A shadow side that would say, well, you know what? I'll start doing this when I reach this milestone. You know, once I've got this much money, then I'll start giving some of it away, because that'll make more sense. It'll just be easier. And then I'll be able to give away more. So why wouldn't I do that? Or things like, you know what, maybe once I'm married, then I'll start doing that. Or maybe when I'm this age, I can start exercising and eating right. For now, let's just have fun, why not? The sort of future planning that restricts you from living well right now, that is always having you looking forward to the day when something else is going to happen, I think that's a shadow side of planning. A planning that really disables you from living the most in the moment where you are right now. So I believe there is a sunny side and a shadow side of planning. And that kind of brings us back to where I read in James, and I want to invite you to turn to in James as well, when we consider planning. So chapter 4, verse 13 of James. You can turn there or tap your way there on your phone. So verse 13 to 17, I'm going to read this again for us, and then we'll talk about it, or I will. You'll listen to me. Come now, you who say, today or tomorrow we will go into such and such a town and spend a year there and trade and make a profit. Yet you do not know what tomorrow will bring. What is your life? For you are a mist that appears for a little time and then vanishes. Instead, you ought to say, if the Lord wills, we will live and do this or that. As it is, you boast in your arrogance. All such boasting is evil. So whoever knows the right thing to do and fails to do it, for him it is sin. So what's going on here? Why does this passage feel so easy? Why does it feel like it just fits? It seems like it requires very little interpretation or diving in to see what's going on, because we can look at that and realize how it really fits to our lives pretty simply, very quickly. And because there's other pieces in the Bible where we look at it and be like, oh boy, we need a bit of explanation here, because this does not make sense to me. And this isn't one of those. It's super simple and super practical. Now, I want to point to a couple things in James as to why I think that is true. So I'm going to give you context anyways. James is written, as you read at the beginning there, it says, to the 12 tribes in the dispersion, greetings. So to the 12 tribes, so to those that are spread across this Roman Empire, to those that are spread across, greetings. So those would be probably primarily Jewish, but a growing and increasingly Jewish and Gentile population. So quite a variety of people that were following Jesus, following the way of Jesus. So it's written to not those necessarily in Jerusalem, those that are far away, that are spread away. And those that were spread away were a variety of people coming from different backgrounds. But one thing that was often true at this time was that there was a big separation between the wealthy and the poor, and not a whole lot in between. So this is one thing that is true across a large part of the Roman Empire, and closer to why this passage really fits for us so easily. So the poor and the wealthy, and we can look at other parts in James and see where it fits very easily and for all people. Like even just the beginning, right? Consider it pure joy when you face trials of many kinds. That wealthy or poor, you're going to have trials, it's going to fit. It really fits. Even just before this in chapter 4, talking about humility, God opposes the proud but gives grace to the humble. So humble yourselves. That is a requirement for both the poor and the wealthy. But then we get to this part. This is, come now, you who say. Now there's only one class here that can say today or tomorrow. And it's not the poor. It's the wealthy that can say today or tomorrow we will go into such and such a town, spend a year there, trade, and make a profit. So how, at this time, how do they get that bread? Or, as I learned recently, how do you eat that wheat? Think of that one as your harvest this year. Most of you don't know what I'm talking about. So, how to get that to phrase, get that bread as making money. So, you can look it up on the internet and you'll see that it's true. The internet is this thing that you can look up stuff on and find out answers to things you don't know. It connects a lot of things. So, James, bread, make the money. Okay, so there's a couple different ways, basically two primary ways that they would make money at this time. One would be those that owned land. So then they either had tenant farmers or slaves that ran their land for them and they earned the money. And so with that as well, there would be that had a social standing to it as well, like a higher social standing for those that owned land and could earn a profit off of that. The other way was the merchants, the merchant class, because they were able to trade and make a profit. They didn't have the same social standing as those that owned land, but it was a major way to earn money. So we can see how that really fits the merchants, right? Come now, you who say, today or tomorrow we'll go into such and such a town, spend a year there, trade, and make a profit. It's really speaking to the merchants here. And we're not going to go into chapter 5 this morning, and you could on your own, but if you read the next paragraph in chapter 5, you can see how he's speaking to the landowners. So he really addresses these two categories very specifically. But to take it more broadly, addressing the wealthy. And again, that's why I think it fits so easily for us, because we are wealthy. Whether or not we would look around at those in the room here and be like, well, I'm not as wealthy as that other person, that's okay. But compared to the rest of our, maybe even our country, but especially the rest of the world, we are incredibly wealthy. So we sit in this category that James is talking to. So it really makes sense. We have the capacity to go to this or that city, to go elsewhere and earn a profit and make money. We have that capacity. We can say that. So what come now you who say, that is us. We can say that. So, and I love it. It's in just how it's quoted even. I wonder if this is a thing that was said common enough as well. But anyways, carrying on from there in verse 14. You do not know what tomorrow will bring. What is your life? You are a mist that appears for a little time and then vanishes. That's a pretty small time, a mist. And I just feel like you need to see this so you know exactly how small a mist is. Oh, that's not a mist, that's... I think I can adjust that. So a mist, it's just like that. Like that's 20, 40, 60, 80, 100 years gone. Just very quick and it's gone. And that's a lifetime. And a lifetime seems long to us, especially looking forwards. Looking back, a lifetime looks like it's gone pretty quick, I'm sure. But a lifetime is gone just like that. And in the grand scheme of eternity, for how God has been working for centuries before and continues to work now and will continue to work, that's a very small part, that mist, that lifetime, that is just for a little while. And so to work only for our own desires and only what we can accomplish seems just so futile. Like, why spend all of our energy on just us for that little lifetime, and then it's gone? No one remembers what you did, or what your name is, or what you accomplished. But if we can attach that to what God is doing and has been doing through centuries, that's something that can live on. Because God is working. And so if we can do this second part, which James talks about, you ought to say, if it is the Lord's will, we will live and do this or that. So if it is part of what God is doing and is wanting to do in and through you, then how much more will it be something that is valuable and builds into God's kingdom and what He's doing? Something that can last, something that can carry on, because a mist is just a short little time, but it can be something huge when it's attached to what God's doing already. And now this part of if the Lord wills it, we will live and do this or that. And it's not like there's a tag on. We'll be like, this is my plan, this is what I'm going to do, Lord will it. Lord will it, that's what I'm going to do. It's not just adding that on to the thing that you want to do already. I really believe that it involves work and energy and time put in to see what it is that God is doing and wanting you to do. So, not to say that your idea, your plan is bad, but taking that plan or that idea and saying, hey God, I've got this idea. And then seeking God within that. Seeking Him in prayer, seeking Him in community, bouncing that off other people, seeking Him in what He's laid out for us already in the Bible. Because God has laid out things already of what His will looks like. It looks like caring for those that can't care for themselves. It looks like loving our neighbor. It looks a lot like loving God and loving those around us. That sure catches a lot of what God's will is. And for a lot of us, there isn't going to be this grand moment of a voice speaking out of a cloud and this is what you are to do. That's a pretty rare experience. Even when we look throughout those in the Bible, that only happens to a handful of people. But it's not to say that God doesn't speak to us and direct us along that way. Because we'll act and we'll live in a way that we are following what God has shown us to do, what is good to do. And then God might give us, through His Holy Spirit, these little nudges every so often too of like, yeah, you're doing well loving your neighbor, but just go talk to that person. And like, oh, talking, that seems pretty simple, but yeah, I can do that. And God's leading us in His will that way. And those are little things, but more largely in the plans we make. That's what I want to camp on here. One other thing I'll add to that is this last sentence, I feel like tags so well 15. We'll come back to 16. The last sentence being, so whoever knows the right thing to do and fails to do it, for him it is sin. So when we know what the will of God is, and we know the right thing to do, and we decide, no, not today, that is sin. Whew. It feels kind of heavy, because I know there's been many moments that I can think of that I know are true, and that, aside from the ones where I'm completely oblivious to it, that I have not done the thing that God was probably nudging me to do. I didn't do the right that I was supposed to do, and for me is sin. Thankfully, we have a gracious God who forgives us of our sins and is willing to help us up and draw us along the way, and He's going to give us an opportunity to do that again. And I know I've had opportunities again, and sometimes get it right, and sometimes still don't get it right. But knowing the right thing to do and failing to do it is sin. It feels kind of big, because it's easy to think about sin as just doing the bad thing. Failing to do the right thing can be that sin as well. So that's just as an aside. Coming back to verse 16, so it really seems to me that this is kind of the center of the paragraph and the next paragraph, I think, too, the idea that is here. As it is, you boast in your arrogance. All such boasting is evil. It's this pride element, this, I can do this. This is my plan. I am able to go and earn money. And it can be for my benefit. And I am going to do this. I'm the boss. It's mine. And now, Jesus addresses that idea very specifically with the parable of the rich fool. It was a farmer who had a really good bumper crop, and he, with all of his crop, realized, like, I'm set. I'm good for the rest of my life. I'm going to tear down my barns, build new ones, fill them up, take it easy, tell my soul, it is good, I can just relax, this is okay. And then Jesus, as he continues to tell the story, says, and then God said to him, fool, you don't even know that your soul will be demanded of you this night. And then what is of your wealth? And then that story in itself, oh, that's heavy. But it finishes with Jesus saying, so it is for anyone who is rich to themselves and not to God. That's not worded quite right, but that's the idea. That if we're rich towards God within what He's given us, that's where God wants us to be. That's partnering with God. That's being part of what God is doing in the world around us. So that pride element, that claiming that it is by our own ability that we did it, us wanting to make the calls, us being the boss, that's where we get into trouble with this. So given the way that you live, who holds the future? So if this monkey was the future, it might be an ape. It's a selfish ape either way. It doesn't ever let go of its banana. He doesn't have any eyes, so he can't see the future. Well, he can't really see anything, but I don't know where his eyes went. But if this was the future, how do you interact with the future? Do you hang on to it in such a way that these are my plans for the future? This is what I'm going to do. This is to my benefit, and maybe just for those that are around me within arm's reach, but for no one else. And God, please, I've got it. This is my plan. We're good. Do you hang on to that? Or do you give that to God and let it be a part and be free of hanging on to that with two arms wide open and be able to say, I have a plan, but God, I want to seek you with this. I don't want to just tag you on. I don't want to just say, yeah, this is what we're going to do, and God, you're with me. But God, this is what I'm thinking, and this is what I see to be true. Does this fit? And through that process of discernment, of listening to the Holy Spirit, of talking with other people in the church, maybe you see, like, yeah, this is good, we should run with that. Or like, pump the brakes, hold off on that one for a little while. Or no, that's a terrible idea. You definitely should not do that. You should stop. I don't think we do well at just leaving the future in God's hands. I think we do a little bit of kind of going for a while, of like, yeah, I got this, we're doing pretty well. And then we kind of hit those moments of like, plan. I really like this one, and I like what it does for me, and so I'm just going to hang on to that. And God just patiently tapping on the shoulder, like, I can hold that for you. I can take that. No, I've got it. We're good for now. I'll hang on to these plans. And then we have these moments where we do relinquish it, and we're like, okay, God, you're right. And I don't know if you've ever had one of those moments of giving something over and being like, yeah, God, this is what you want, and I'm okay to let that go. That is an incredibly freeing moment when you can lay those things down. And I think the reason that it's freeing is because this is just a little monkey that's light. It's not heavy at all. To hold on to that is not difficult. But holding on to the future isn't something that we were called to hold on to. Holding on to our own plans without God directing them isn't something we were called to hold on to, and it's heavy. That can drag us down. When we can let go of it, it's light. And that's what Jesus is talking about. His burden is light. The anxiety that comes with trying to make our own plans work is incredibly heavy. Letting go of it is incredibly light and free. And that's what God's invited us to. It's good. And sometimes it might not be what we had initially planned, but we have to be ready for those adjustments. So for those of you that are planners, this is really, really difficult. And so I'm not going to give you a step 1, 2, 3, this is what you need to do. I'm going to give you an idea of a framework, but I want to add one just thought for those of you that are planners, is to maybe add this to your plans as an add-on, as something extra for your plans every time. If you are a planner, add this one step. How will I react if God adjusts my plans? That way you can at least be partially prepared for the plans that you've made, and if God wants to adjust it, you go, okay, I'm going to be okay with this. Or I might be angry, but I'm going to have to figure out how to deal with that. So if you are a planner, how am I going to react if God adjusts my plans? Now, James is a very practical letter or essay, or as we read it, a book. And a lot of things come really straightforward. And so I'm going to let you figure out how this applies to your own life as it does with plans. But I want to add this sort of maybe framework or thought with it. We only ever live in the present. So make plans that help you to live the best way in the present. And this, I mean, it's not 2 points, it's one thing that goes all together. And seek God and His kingdom first and foremost in your plans. And I feel like holding these two things, you'll figure out the practical application for how that fits for you. But seek God and His kingdom first. And when you make plans and you're seeking God in it, what are the things that help you to live in the present in the most excellent way that you possibly can? Let me pray for us before Brittany comes up to lead us in some singing.